Have you ever wondered why, even doing everything right, you still feel this emptiness? Why do you look like everyone smiles on the net, but it cries in silence when no one is looking? Have you ever had that feeling that something inside you is missing, and that neither prayer, nor success, nor compliments can fill? How many times have you tried to believe more? He struggled, read, fasted, and yet, joy seemed to be always far away, as if it were for others, but not for you. What if I told you that John Wesley lived that too? That he knew the scriptures, was a leader, missionary, disciplined, but inside did you feel a heavy silence, holy discomfort? Until the day he discovered a secret, not a theoretical secret, a secret that became a break, awaken, transformation, and that same secret, it may be what is missing in your life. Today, in Secret 001 of the Secrets of Life with God series, you will find out why true joy does not depend on circumstances, and why the world can never give you what only heaven can deliver. But get ready, because after today, you will never be able to pretend that everything is fine with empty faith. The question is, you are ready to stop surviving and start living for real? Before continuing, click now the subscribe button, and before the video disappears, close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a moment in your life when you felt truly happy. Not just happy, but complete, safe, in peace. Did you feel? Now tell me, how long did you last? Neuroscience shows us that most moments of happiness we experience are linked to passing stimuli, achievements, compliments, present, entertainment. They activate dopamine, and then disappear. But there is a joy that does not depend on the circumstances. It's like an underground river, constant, silent, invisible to the eyes of the world, but never dries. Today, I will tell you a secret that John Wesley discovered in the midst of failure, doubt, and religious disappointment, a secret that has changed its story and can change yours. This is the first episode of the series, Secrets of Life with God, and today we will reveal the secret 01, the joy that the world can never offer you. It is not a theory. It is an experience. It is not an emotion. It is a presence. It is not an achievement. It is a surrender. And the best of all, it is within your reach, right now. Before continuing, let me tell you something fast. It has a powerful gift waiting for you right now. If you are looking for more from God, in a real, deep, and practical way, you need to download the digital ebook, Secrets of Life with God. It is completely free, but it's not any PDF. It is a map, a direct guide, which will unlock areas of your spiritual life that may have been locked for years. Do you really want to break? Want to get out of shallow? Then click on the link set in the comments and download now. It's no use, because those who advance, transform, get used to the emptiness, and you were not born to live incomplete. Fixed link. Download now. Open your Bible in John 15:11, where Jesus said, "I have told you these things so that my joy may be in you, and your joy is complete." If desired, I can follow with the next part, Wesley's story and the experience of Aldersgate, connecting with John 15 and the promises of spiritual joy. Do you want to continue? She had everything. Married to a good man, 2 children, a house in a safe neighborhood, friends in the church, smiles in the cults, happy photos on the internet. But every night when everyone slept, she cried, alone, in the dark kitchen, with the hot cup in the cold hands. He cried like the one who empties the soul without understanding why. Was it sad? No. Was it longed? Neither. What was what then? She herself didn't know, but I felt a void, no name. What she never told, neither for the pastor, nor for her husband. It's just that her faith, it was beautiful on the outside, but empty inside. And maybe, whatever you feel too. Now listen to this. John Wesley also felt the same. Yes, the man who founded the Methodism. Yes, the one who preached to crowds, who saw miracles, who led revivations. He had everything too. And yet, I had no joy. I traveled preaching the gospel. But inside, it carried a dark silence. A silence that the religious world did not understand, until the day it broke. It was on a street in London, called Aldersgate. It rained. A small meeting. Few people. A man read a preface. Nothing else. Until Wesley felt, not an emotion, not a chill, but something else. He said, "I felt my heart strangely warm." What is that? It is when the Spirit of God passes inside the soul and touches where even religion can reach. That's when you find out what real joy. It doesn't come from doing everything right, but to know that it has been loved in full. And Wesley knew at that moment that Jesus loved him, not as an idea, not as a doctor INA, but as living truth. And you? When was the last time you felt this? Jesus said, I have said these words so that my joy is in you, and your joy is complete. John 15:11. Now answer me with sincerity. Do you have this complete joy? Or has your faith been like that woman's house of the hot cup, beautiful, organized, respected, but silently empty? Listening. The joy the world offers is noisy. It shines, seduces, explodes in fires, but it ends fast. The joy of Jesus is different. It is like a lit candle in the middle of the storm. She doesn't shout. It shines in the dark. And do you know what neuroscience has discovered? That when you really pray, when you feel gratitude, when you meditate on the presence of God, your brain changes. The physical structure changes. The region of joy is strengthened. Peace becomes biological, i.e., living faith transforms to your body, but it needs to be alive. It needs to be true. It needs to be personal. So I ask you, do you want to feel this warm heart? You want to stop pretending that everything is fine and finally living? Because this is the secret that Wesley discovered, and that you can find out now. But remember, the secret only works for those who surrender. And maybe that's the only thing you haven't tried yet. So stop, breathe, and say with sincerity, Jesus, I don't want just religion anymore. I want complete joy. I want your love inside me. If you say this with truth, even in the silence of your room, he will hear and will answer. Attention, if this video is messing with you, click on the fixed link now and download the Secrets of Life with God ebook. It's free. It is straightforward. It is for those who are tired of surviving in the faith. Don't wait. Who advances transformation remains in the same place. Download now, as Wesley answered, how he answered me. And then, your heart will also warm up. But it's just the beginning, because there is still more, much more. But it's a secret too soon. Don't leave the video. She ran away, but it didn't run. Simply walked away, stopped praying, stopped singing, stopped trying. She still went to the services, still smiling in the photos. It still said amen, but inside, I was gone. No one noticed, no one asked, no one felt, except one, the one she herself thought was disappointed, the one she imagined she had already given up from her, the one who never stopped waiting, the same one who followed Wesley when he tried to hide behind the religion. Wesley was fasting. I prayed 3 times a day. I read the Bible in Greek. And yet, deep down, I felt it wasn't enough. It was like trying to buy love with good works. How to try to convince God to like you. But do you know what Wesley discovered? That God's love does not start when you improve. He was already there even before you tried. This is the second secret. God does not love you because you have changed. You change because you were loved. You can try to escape, hide, until you forget. But God's love is like that ancient perfume that sticks to the skin and appears when the rain falls. Wesley wrote after Aldersgate, Now, I know God loved me, even when I didn't know how to love him. And that's why, even running away, even if you make a mistake, even failing, you still feel it calling you, whispering in the thoughts, in dreams, in the middle of the night, in the silence between one sigh and another. It is him. It is always him. With eternal love I loved you, so with kindness I attracted you. Jeremiah 31:3. Do you understand what this means? Whether you look at him or not, whether or not, believe it or not, he continues to come, without screaming, without pressing, without giving up. It's like a letter left under the door, all day, even if you never open it. And the craziest? Science has already proven that the effective memory of constant love can heal even ancient trauma, and you still think it's just emotion. But it is not. It's funny. Preventive grace. Grace that comes before. Grace that waits for you until you come back. Maybe today is this day, the day you stop, breathe, and realize he never left. You have forgotten what it was like to be loved, but now you remember, and that changes everything. There is still a part, the part that Wesley only understood when, well, this is what I will tell you in the next chapter. He hit For the 10th time, again, calmly, no hurry, as who already knows the answer. On the other side of the door, silence. Only that night something changed. God stopped waiting. Not that you have given up, but it entered. No invitation, without permission, because there is a moment in life where grace ceases to whisper and starts to act. Have you ever felt that? When everything is normal on the outside, work, routine, family, but inside, anything burns? It's not sadness. It is not a fault. It's like something bigger is calling you into yourself. This is what happened to Wesley. After the experience in Aldersgate, after the heated heart, he thought everything was resolved, but it wasn't. Because experiencing grace is the beginning, being transformed by her, it's war, and God knew that. That's why he entered, without asking, without warning. He began to move the areas that Wesley hid, in the ambition for control, in the fear of failure, in the craze of always finding yourself wrong, or always right. And grace did what only she knows how to do, dismantled, to rebuild. Because the true grace is not comfortable. It heals, but before, cuts. She comforts, but before, confronts. And that's where many give up. They think God's presence comes just to give peace. But sometimes it comes to take the peace you built with lies. Do you know that feeling of being invaded by something you don't understand? That makes you cry for no reason. Remember things you wanted to forget? I miss a joy that never lived. This is God entering, not for violence, but by mercy, and he's doing this to you now. You feel, don't you feel? You don't understand everything, but something inside you has already started moving. It's the grace, and when she enters, nothing is in place. Do you know why? Because God does not want to reform your life. He wants to make you new. Behold, I make all things new. Revelation 21:5. It's not tidying up, it is reborn, and reborn, it hurts, but it is worth it. Wesley discovered that. And in the midst of pain, he also discovered something no one told him before. The real reason God came to him, the real reason for all this divine persecution, he already knew. Before prayer, before guilt, before the mask, before the request for forgiveness, he already knew. And yet, it came. Wesley didn't understand. How could someone so imperfect be the target of such a constant love? He tried to pay, with good works, with fasting, with discipline, but it didn't work, because God never wanted the payment. I wanted the heart. What Wesley didn't know yet, it's just that there is a deeper, quieter, older reason for God to come after him, and you. And it's not because you are useful, nor because you are special, not because you have something he needs, it's because he loves you. Simple as that. And that, just that, is the problem. We don't know how to deal with love that requires no exchange. You were taught to deserve everything. The job, the affection, the respect. But God loves before, loves despite, loves even. How long? Until the end. Because there's something Wesley understood after the fight. God does not love you because you are good. God loves you because he is good. And that changes everything. It is the hidden reason, the secret behind the secret, the reason behind the search, the sound behind the silence. You don't have to be strong, not ready, not right. You just need to stop and listen. Deep down, you already know it's with you. Then breathe. Don't run away. Do not harden, because what comes after that, it is the hardest part, but also the most liberating. In the next chapter, I will tell you why most people give up when one step from true transformation, and you won't want to be one of them. It is until the end. It does not leave the video, because what comes now will change everything. It was a small room, 4 white walls, a chair in the middle, and a mirror without reflection. Wesley sat there, not physically, but inside. That's when he realized it arrived in the place where almost everyone gives up, the part where grace no longer comforts. She confronts. The Holy Spirit no longer says, I love you. He asks, you love me? This is where the game becomes, because God doesn't just want to save you from hell. He wants to save you from you. And this is the place where a lot of people stop, not because it's hard, but because it is too painful to admit. Admit that you still love control, which still manipulates with smiles, that still hides secrets even from yourself. Admit that you want Jesus, but it also wants to keep safe zones where it doesn't play. Wesley arrived there. You will also arrive. Everyone arrives, but not everyone comes back. Most give up. sit on the edge of the transformation and says, "So far it's good," and back to old life only with new language, religion with revival perfume, but without real fire. And do you know what happens to who to hear? Gets stuck, freezes. It becomes critical, observer of the faith of others, doctrine specialist, and illiterate in surrender. But Wesley decided to continue, even bleeding inside, even without understanding everything. He said, "It takes everything. It just doesn't let me be half. This is what God expects to hear from you. No beautiful words, but an ugly, real, tremendous, crying, broken delivery. And true, because it's only after that he begins to rebuild his way. Do you want that? Because if you want, it will hurt. It will expose you. It will take your comfort zone, but it will break free. And at the end, only one question remains. You will be one more that gives up here, or will you let God finish what started? Because in the next chapter, we will enter the place where only those we had stayed are taken. Things never again were as they were. Stay with me. It does not leave the video, because whoever can handle it to the end, receive what no one else has the courage to ask. He lost everything. Security, the control, the idea that I was in charge, and only then discovered what it means to be truly free. John Wesley had talent, had influence, had followers. I had ministry, but one thing still held him, the false idea that it was all his. The call, health, the strength, the reputation, and then he understood. None of that was his. None of that could control. None of that would take with him. He was just a butler, a temporary depositary of what belongs to another. And that's exactly there, where almost everyone misses. We think we are owners, of our dreams, of our gifts, of our time, of our body, but we are just butler. And one day, the owner will ask for accounts. You can handle your stewardship because you can no longer be butler. Luke 16:2. And you know what the secret is hidden in all this? When you stop your owner, the joy comes back. Because being owned is weight. It is a charge. It is pressure. Being a butler, it's rest. Do you understand now? That woman of the hot cup at the beginning of the story, she carried everything alone. She thought she had to handle everything. Children, faith, future. But no one can stand to be God. And she broke. But what if she found out, who was never owned, that God entrusted her a part of the story, for a while, for a purpose. But what in the end? Everything comes back to him. She would breathe differently. She would cry lightly. She would serve with joy. That's what Wesley discovered. And that's what you need to find out now. You are not the owner of your life. And that is good news. Because the owner is good. It's fair. It's faithful. And everything he wants from you, it is not perfection. It is fidelity. That's why true joy, it only starts when you stop owner and becomes a servant, faithful servant, reliable butler, someone who manages with gratitude. But beware, in the next chapter, you will find that there is a charge for those who know, but they still live as if they didn't know. And that part, it's heavy. So stay with me. It does not leave the video, because now, the secret will stop being comfortable, and it will become urgent. He knew. I knew everything. About Jesus. On the cross. Over heaven and hell. He knew what was right. What was sin. What was faith. And yet, it didn't change. It was not ignorance. It was a choice. And that's exactly why Wesley trembled. Because when grace reveals itself, when God gives you the secret, when you see what others have never seen, you become responsible. To whom much has been given, much will be charged. Luke 12:48. It is not weight. It is justice. Wesley understood this when he began to realize the knowledge he had was becoming a condemnation. He taught on stewardship, but there were still areas that he controlled as owner. And then he saw, to know without surrendering is like playing with the light that can blind you. This is where many fall. Inside the church, with the Bible open, with a mouth full of verses, and the heart closed for real change, they think you know is enough, that agreeing with the truth is the same as living it. But it is not. It's like food on the table you never chew. You can even starve, surrounded by banquets. The sky will not be full of people who knew everything, but people who lived what they understood. And you? How much you have already revealed, but hasn't it yet transformed into practice? Do you still treat your time like yours? Your body? your home, your money, your heart, because the more you know, more dangerous is to ignore. Wesley didn't want to carry this weight, so he bent. He gave up. He prayed like this: "Sir, it takes everything I am, and makes me just what pleases you." And there, he was free, not for the knowledge I had, but for the delivery you did. You know, you've seen too much to pretend you didn't understand. So the question now is not, what does God want from me? It is, what am I still keeping, knowing that I don't belong to me anymore? Because in the next chapter, the Spirit of God will begin to touch the most hidden areas, those you swore no one would see. And there, he will test if his yes is real. Stay with me. It does not leave the video, because what comes now is not beautiful. But it is necessary. You said, "Yes, sir," said with tears, with background music, with your hands raised, said with sincerity, but did not realize one thing: God listens to everything, even what you say without knowing what you were saying. When you said, "Take everything," he took it seriously. And now, he is coming, not what is easy, but what you hid, that locked room, that blocked memory, that desire you mask with beautiful words, the part of your story you bury, not even you, the place no one plays. Go there, not for you, Ergon, but to free you, because you are only free where you let it enter. Wesley lived that. After your delivery to Aldersgate, after joy, fire, peace, the shadows came, not the shadows of the world, but his own, trauma, fears, ambitions that he disguised zeal. And God, in his mercy, he didn't ignore any of this. He went straight to the point, in the wound, in vanity, in silent guilt, and asked, "Do you give me that too? Do you feel it now? That tightness in the chest, that memory that comes back only from time to time, that phrase you heard in childhood and never forgot? You will never be enough. Maybe that's what you have been saved. Maybe it's something else. But there is something there. And today, God is saying, if it's to be everything, it has to be everything. He doesn't just want what you show in the service. He wants his mess, not to play in your face, but to put order where you never got it, because the darkest place of your soul is where the light needs to enter. And it is in this chapter that many give up, not because they do not love God, but because they are afraid of being loved, exactly as they are. But you don't. You will continue, because in a moment, we will see what happens when you let God come in, and he finds no resistance, but space. And then, everything changes. Stay with me. It does not leave the video. Because now you are very close to the place where God's presence begins to live. It was on a common day, without thunder, without visible glory, without any angel playing trumpet, just the silence, and a different tiredness, not physical, a tiredness of the soul, to try, to hide, to support a floorless faith. She didn't pray loudly. It didn't cry. It doesn't even sang, just whispered, "If you want, come in." And he entered, not as a visit, not as a guest, but as a resident. That's when everything changed, because there is a huge difference between the presence of God who passes and what is, between the fire that warms for a while and the flame that never goes out again. Wesley understood that late. He lived for years receiving visits from the Spirit, moments of consolation, right words, punctual touches. But one day, something broke. He stopped running, stopped measuring, stopped controlling, and said, "Lord, this place is yours. Don't visit me anymore. Live here." Do you feel it now? This inner call, this invisible tug. It is the Spirit saying, "I don't want to visit you anymore in your crises. I want to dwell in your routine. I want to be part of your sleep, of your mood, of your gaze, of your body, of your work, of your Monday." And when he lives, fear changes address. Anxiety loses space. The soul finds ground. It does not mean that everything is resolved, but that you change inside, deeply, irreversibly. And the most beautiful? No one notices at first because the glory that lives, you don't need stage. It shines in silence, in touch with the children, in the answer you didn't give, in the forgiveness that now flows easier. It is the presence, not as external strength, but as internal breathing. Have you arrived here? Attention. If this video is messing with you, click on the fixed link now and download the Secrets of Life with God ebook. It's free. It is straightforward. It is for those who are tired of surviving in the faith, don't wait, who advances transformation, remains in the same place. Download now, or do you still live with visits? Because in the next chapter, you will see what happens when this presence begins to overflow. So, you not only change, you start to change others. Stay with me. It does not leave the video. Because the next step is not about you receive, it is about you to become. She didn't try to impress anyone anymore, nor prove anything, nor defend one's own faith. It was. And who approached her, I felt something I couldn't explain. Calm, presence, lightweight, peace that was. It wasn't her. It was what lived in it. Wesley lived this. After so much preaching, traveling, studying, correcting, fighting, there was a time when he no longer needed to raise his voice. People broke just close, not because he was special, but because he carried something that didn't come from him. The secret? He stopped seeking only experiences, and it became an extension of its own presence. And that, you don't learn in a service. You don't copy someone. You do not decorate in book. This is born when you die. Dies to the character you created. Dies to the image you try to support. Dies for the illusion that you need to feel something every day to prove that God is there. The true presence. It makes a silent address. And when it establishes itself, it starts to leak. In the tone of voice. In the way of listening. In patience with the children. In courage with suffering. In the sensitivity in chaos. You do not force. You do not rehearse. You just live. And others live because of you. And that is powerful. Because the world is not seeking religion, it's looking for healed people. Whole people. People who carry the heaven. Even in silence. You can be that person. Not because you are strong, but because he lives there. But beware. When this starts to happen, some will bother. Because the light that emanates from the presence reveals the darkness of those who only decorated verses. And that's where the next secret appears. One that Wesley had to face. And maybe it is the biggest challenge of those who carry God inside. How to continue to be light. When even those in light try to erase you. Stay with me. It does not leave the video. Because the next chapter is about spiritual resistance, and you will need it more than you think. At first, everyone loved being close to her. She was sweet, patient, wise without arrogance, strong without having to lift his voice. But with time, love became a distance. The admiration became critical, and the presence that enchanted began to bother. Why? Because she carried something that others only talked about, but they didn't live, and that exposes without wanting to. So it was with Wesley. When God's presence came to dwell in him, the brightness did not come from events, came in depth, and that's when the religious, they began to resist. Because he was different. He preached grace but required holiness. He spoke of love but lived consecrated. It was humble, but it bothered the proud. The presence in him accused the void in others. And it is so to this day. When you start carrying God truly, you become a mirror. And mirrors do not please all. Some, when they see themselves reflected, regret. Others, revolt. It is the price of light. And here is the secret. You need to resist without hardening. You need to stay without avenge. You need to continue, even when the faith of faith rejects you. Because Jesus also went through this, and he said, "Blessed are you when you are injured, for me." Matthew 5:11. You are not strange. You are on the right track. The persecution of the righteous is the seal of authenticity. But don't give up. Do not cool. Do not isolate yourself. Because the next step is the most important. And Wesley also had to do. The step where you understand that the light you carry, it is not to protect, it is to multiply. In the next chapter, you will find out how to live the faith that transforms, even being attacked, how to be fire without burning anyone, and how to shine without erasing others. So it doesn't come out now. Do not disconnect. Do not abandon this process. Click on the screen and watch the next video right now, because your journey is still in the beginning, and the next secret can be the most liberating of all.